Hey folks, Bobby Casey here. I want to thank you for joining me today on my channel, Business Anywhere. And if you don't mind, if you could take a second to like this video and share it with friends and subscribe to the channel, that'd be great. So today we're going to be discussing the topic of should I hold my liquid investments like my stock portfolio in an LLC. So whenever I'm consulting with clients about developing an asset protection strategy, and we discuss things about tax minimization and that sort of thing, but always part of this topic, we always discuss asset protection. Asset protection really just means to create this kind of privacy and protective wall around your assets. I look at it like a moat around the castle. If you think about it like that, you're creating this barrier to protect your assets from any potential threats. Could be future potential creditors, can be any type of litigation, that sort of thing. So basically the idea is, and I discussed this in a previous video, that we don't want to hold any significant assets in our own name because it just makes it so much easier for future potential creditors to come after us. So things like significant assets like your stock portfolio, in my opinion, should always be held in another entity, like an LLC, for example. So the reason we do this, like I said, you want to basically get it out of your name so that if you do ever have that personal lawsuit, it's not an asset it's not an asset in your name. So for example, if you were sued and you had $1 million judgment against you, it's pretty easy for a judge to go out and seize assets or freeze assets in a brokerage account in your own name. However, if it's in a properly structured LLC, it's not so hard because then they're limited to things like charging orders they can get against your LLC. And we can discuss charging orders in a later video, but for the topic of this video is should you hold them in there? The answer is yes. How do you do that? It's really pretty simple. If you already have a stock portfolio with one of the big brokerage firms in the US, like let's say Schwab or Fidelity or TD Ameritrade or something like that, it's pretty easy. You need to create an LLC. I normally recommend a Wyoming LLC because Wyoming has the best statutes on the books to protect assets, especially for single member LLCs. So I would start with having a Wyoming LLC, go back to your broker. We use Fidelity as an example. Go back to your broker, open a new account in your LLC's name, and then you would contact Fidelity and say, I would like to transfer assets from this account in my own name to this account I own through an entity. And so depending on which broker it is, they have a process to do that, but you should easily be able to complete a transfer form and transfer assets from one account to the other. It's really quite simple. So yes, I highly encourage you to do that. This will make it significantly harder if you ever get sued in the future for anybody to effectively go after these assets or get a hold of those assets, seize accounts or freeze bank accounts and that sort of thing. But ultimately, also it gives you a veil of privacy, and we talked about this in a previous video. But imagine you get sued by somebody and they're coming after you. They go hire an attorney that says, tell you what, let me go look into this person we're trying to sue and see if they have any easily attachable assets. If they come back to their client, the claimant, and the attorney can't find any assets in their name, it makes it significantly harder to pursue them. And so that attorney may go back to his client and say, whereas before I might have been willing to take this case on a contingency basis, now I'm only willing to do it with a retainer, and maybe they want a $10,000 or a $20,000 retainer to move forward. And so oftentimes that retainer is a sizable enough barrier that the client says, maybe I don't want to spend that money to go after them. So the veil of privacy oftentimes is a big enough barrier. But even if they find out you own the assets, having the protections of having the assets inside of an LLC offers you dramatic asset protection benefits. So I would highly encourage you to do it. There is zero risk for you to do it from a tax standpoint in the U.S. If you are a U.S. citizen, It is completely tax neutral. If you are a non-U.S. person, meaning not a U.S. citizen, you don't have a green card, you don't have a taxable visa, you're what's called a non-resident alien, there are some massive tax advantages for you to do all of your trading in the U.S. through a Wyoming LLC, but I can discuss that in another video. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I hope you have a great day.